Meow.
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 Meow. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining me on Craft Dead. And I've got Skipper, and we're going to have James here in a minute. He just had to use the bathroom, which is totally understandable since he's been live streaming for a while. And I just didn't give him a long enough chance to go, but I just wanted to get going. So let me get to comments. And I wanted to show you guys what I'm doing tonight. You guys watched me make these and paint these, and this has got the PVC on behind, which is all totally safe in your fish tank. You can see that it's not the perfect circle because I've taken a torch and I've made it so it's soft, and I stepped on it to make it more like flat like a plate.
Okay.
But you guys can see how I did this last week. If you want to see how I painted it, you can see the different materials or the different types of paints I use. They're totally safe for tanks. I'm not going to get into that in this episode. Next week, we'll paint this new one. But my plan for tonight is to try to make, for people that like more aquarium ornaments and things like that, I'm going to try to make an Aztec or a Mayan type statue or god type statue carving, and we'll see. I decided I'm not going to look at one, so it's going to be totally off the cuff. So I kind of made a little one a couple weeks ago on Pam's to practice on punchy paints. So we're just going to kind of wing it a little. And for people that don't know what these hides are, they're hiding the sponge filters. Not that the sponge filter's ugly or anything, but, you know, if you want to try to make your tank look a little more like it's out in the wild or something, your sponge filter goes behind. And I'm not going to push it right up against it. I'm going to leave about an inch space so that way bacteria can grow all around and it'll pull water all the way around. It'll probably pull more from the back. I've gotten so many comments on me. A lot of people think that this is a complete circle that encases the whole thing.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I wonder what that would even look like.
Well, you got a $10 super chat from Doc Anthony, and it says, Ed won't ignore me. We didn't get to the hellos yet, but all right.
Yeah, well, I'm going to push back. And you know what? James is amazing at the hellos. Let's let James do the crazy fast hello when he gets here. Oh, and speaking of the devil, not that he's a devil, speaking of the guy, welcome back, James.
Hey, thanks for having me. Had to grab a drink real quick.
Awesome. So, James, would you do your standard super fast hello like we used to do?
Let's see if I've still got it.
Yeah, well, he'll be a little rusty.
All right. Hello and welcome to George 3BR, Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fishes, Amanda Jean 165, Blinda's Crystalline Succulent Garden, Big Cat, Bootscats, Buddy Viper Aquatics, Chattanooga Ed, Chris's Aquazone, Daniel Velez, Dennis Christensen, Dragon Lair, Fish Roamer, GRB Aquatics, Jeff Kane, Ken's 3D Aquatics, Coral Works, Larry D's, Chili Head Aquatics. A little rusty here. It's been a while. Let's try this again. Leslie Perry, Lisa Sparkman, MNC Aquatics, Mark Strelson, Mary Beth, Matt West, Mountain Greenery, Nathan Hovey, Night Owl Aquatics, Nola's Dolls Aquatics, Winkmaster Supreme Forever, Patricia Clawpell, which I just screwed up, Rocky and Miles, Scruffy City Aquatics, Skipper's Aquariums, that goofy guy, Sky Dancer, TGOE, Shelby K, Travis Myers, Whips World, and everybody else not showing up on the active participants list. Man, I'm really out of practice. That was a little rough, but we'll get back in practice on that.
Yeah, it's all good. And we didn't have Skipper last week either. He was on a cruise last week. And so,
nice.
We're going to do this. I want to quiz him about his cruise, and we'll also quiz James on what he's been up to. And
so,
yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to cut in real quick because I was still listening when I stepped away. I got a drink and whatnot. One thing I would like to point out is that if you actually look at your sponge filters and the way that they're dispersing water, it's not the word I'm looking for, but it's the terminology we'll go with. When they send that water out, or when they disperse that water, it doesn't just flow right back down to the base of the sponge filter. If you look, like if you actually have a tank set up that's got the sponge filter going, depending upon the tank size and how much airflow you've got through, that water is coming, it's getting pushed this way, and then it's circling out. I had to make sure I was in frame there. It's circling out, hitting the sides of the tank, and then pushing back towards that. So yes, you potentially run into some buildup around the rim of that blockade that you're putting there, but it's still going to suck stuff around it. Right. So I don't think the efficacy is going to be affected. Yes, it has a plume. Matt West, thank you. That's a great way to put it. It has a plume. I don't think the efficacy is going to be affected in the same way a lot of people think it will. Yes, there will be some variation to what you would normally get. And you'll probably notice when you clean your sponge filters that side isn't quite as impacted as your other sides or as dirty. But it's still going to be viable. And this is one of those things that these are designed to hide the sponge filter with a minimal effect to functionality. So you're still going to have this functional sponge filter. It's still going to be doing that plume. Again, thank you, Matt. And sending that water out and dispersing it along the sides and circling back. So you've got this kind of going in all directions, 360 degrees. Versus like it's up and then it's down and then it's up and it's down. So I think that it still will function quite well.
And this idea was brought to me by James maybe 2 years ago. And I finally decided to do something on it. And so James knows about this from a long time ago. And I finally got around to it. And if anybody else ever has a suggestion or an idea that they'd like me to try, I'd be more than happy to try it.
Sorry, one of the cats popped the door open. I didn't shut it all the way when I checked on the dogs. I had to close that real quick.
So I think I'm going to try to make a sun god. So we're going to see if now what I love about these statues that the Mayans made is they weren't like the Roman like precision on marble. They're very boxy and they chipped it maybe out of maybe they chipped it out of let's see if I can add a little more light to this. There we go. Maybe it was like a sandstone or something that you really can't polish it, but they look just amazing. I absolutely love them. So I think I'm going to try maybe start off with trying to make a crocodile head on this thing and see where it goes from there.
Nice.
But Skipper,
we got one from Jeff Kane. If you want to take that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jeff Kane has a $10 super chat. He said, "Per Dr. Anthony, don't forget about the raffle."
Yes. Oh, well, you know what?
Let's
talk about that raffle.
You want to do that now?
Yeah, and then we'll bug Skipper about his thing.
Okay, the Amazon Research Center is putting on a raffle for 2. It's $50 a ticket. What it all involves is up to 2 people. It's $2,000 for the flight down. Your housing will be at the dormitory rooms there on site. The meals will be there. Transportation to and from the airport. Access to visit the Manatee Rescue Center. And Amazon Forever transportation to and from will be provided. Access to the aquarium of the Amazon. And they will customize the itinerary to accommodate your goals. The itinerary can include collecting trips, working in the aquarium, and or helping the research. Now, if it was me, if I won, Okay, I'm going to help them out because I paid $50 to go on a trip to Peru. So I'm going to
Yeah,
help.
I would love to. I would see if they would let me help design something in one of their fish tanks, or maybe even outside the fish tank. Like I would make an artificial tree on the wall or something. I don't know. I think that'd be so much fun. Then you could brag to everybody saying that yeah, I've got stuff in Peru, in a foreign country. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat.
You keep
Dr.
giving
Anthony
going
said,
with
"You
your
got it,
comments.
Ed."
I didn't mean to steal your
I'm going to be that
thunder.
guy. I'm going to be the selfish guy that wants to go collecting because I may not ever get a chance to do it again. I'm
Oh, you
sorry.
will.
I'm a jerk, but I'd be like, hey,
I would want to
can we
collect
can we
too.
get some collecting in at some point? Let me just to say that I did it, even if I don't actually get anything to bring back.
Yeah, I don't know how it works with bringing the things back. He said that we had Dr. Anthony on as a guest 2 weeks ago. James, he was filling in for you,
Huh.
and uh, he was saying, I don't know if I like this or not. I don't want it to weigh too much and it falls forward. But I was trying to go for like a gator head made from stone. But I'm going to try to make it kind of look like it has a human body made from stone.
Okay.
But I forgot what I was saying. Oh, well, I was asking him about some of the different fish and stuff that you can collect. And the discus there, he had a great story on how the discus in Peru aren't even native. They're actually invasive.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
These two guys flew a puddle jumper airplane, with the pontoons, down to
Mm-hmm.
the Amazon, caught 10,000. I'm hoping I'm saying this right because, I was also making something, but caught 10,000 discus, and they were flying back to America. I'm guessing they were going to sell them in America. Maybe they're going to get somewhere else and then ship them to Europe, or Asia or wherever. But they were coming back and they ran out of gas or had engine problems. So they landed in Peru and dumped all these discus. But he said the discus don't
Oh my
get
goodness.
plate size there. Maybe the temperature's a little different, or who knows. But he said they're still beautiful, and just kind of neat how they got discus there.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
original collection point is in the Amazon, but not in that river. So
Yeah.
because it's not from that area, it's considered invasive. It's from north of Peru somewhere, I believe. I remember
Oh, I
that
thought it
part.
was
Very
south.
interesting.
I thought it was in Brazil. But yeah, it was fun. So, oh, and guys, I'm using, for anybody that doesn't know, I use lots of this Sculpey. It's oven baked clay. You can buy a block for, I believe it's $5.99 at Walmart. And it's the standard white. Anything else, if you're going to buy colors and stuff, it's quite a bit more. And what I do is it's basically the sawdust from PVC somehow mixed into a clay.
Mm.
And you have to bake it extra long is what I've found. So I'm going to bake it for like an extra 10 to 15 minutes. It's 15 minutes per quarter inch. So I'm trying to keep everything to a half or a quarter inch thick. And then I'm going to go an extra 15 to 10 minutes on it, or 10 to 15, I guess you'd say.
And I'd imagine that just like anything, you kind of develop a feel for it after you've baked it a couple of times, and you can kind of look at it and go, "Oh, it's been 10 minutes. It needs 5 more minutes."
I was waiting.
Yeah, and I actually wait till it gets a little brown. I don't want it to crack, but I overcook the chemicals out. I really do. I don't want to risk anything. And then my friend Matt from Liquid Zoo and the Fish Fam. He he used white or the black clay and it leached into his tank. So I try to stay away from the colors. The dyes. Even though I have seen people use the dyes very successfully. So, but maybe with the black, they just put a lot more extra dye in there than they need to.
Gotcha. Whip set it out. Whip, have a wonderful night, my friend. Get you some sleep.
Night. And Whip, thank you so much for hanging out in our crazy D&D show last night. For anybody that watched us play D&D, Skipper and I were there. Rico was there. Xdo. How do you say Xdo's real name?
Xanadu.
Xanadu?
Oh, Xanadu. Yeah. He was there. Jason the Degenerate was there, and he's the dungeon master. And I'm ABC Aquatics. Kenny is the wizard. Am I missing anybody, Skipper?
You said Rico, right?
I said Rico. He's our barbarian. Well,
yeah,
we had so many technical difficulties last night, but it was still a lot of fun. And thank you everybody for enduring and hanging out that did. I wanted to make sure I said that to everybody that hung out. And Whip was one of those guys that was there till the bitter end. And so was I Hate Stupid People. She was there. And I'm surprised that somebody with the name I Hate Stupid People watched us.
But it's every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, our goal is to go from 7 to 9. Now, last night with all the technical difficulties, we went a lot later than we plan on doing. But
it was fun.
But that was a lot of fun.
Gruffy City Aquatics heading out. So hope to see y'all this weekend. Have a good night. I don't know if I'll be able to get down there or not. I would like to. I'm going to try, but I don't want to promise anything.
Yeah, my truck is broken again, man. It just keeps breaking.
Oh, no.
It won't turn over. So I don't know what the deal is. I'm going to have it towed to, at least it broke down in my driveway. But it broke down in my driveway, and I'm going to have it towed down to the bottom of the hill and have it checked out. Hopefully they can fix it. Well, I'm sure they can. I don't know if it's the starter or not. We tried tapping the starter, and that didn't work either. So
hopefully it's something simple.
Yeah, I know. And I'm just kind of winging this thing, but I'm kind of enjoying how it's coming out.
It's looking good so far.
Thank you. Now I want to leave an inch at the bottom, so that way I can stick it into the substrate.
So are you going to do more with the jaw?
I don't know, because I want to make it look like stone. I think I'm going to make it look like carvings on the clay. Once I get the body all built up, I'm going to put lots of designs, because they did lots of curly cues and dots and slashes and things. But at the same time, they made their stuff look very like block shaped and rustic kind of.
Well, you can still put a mouth and eyeballs and stuff on it.
Yeah. But I'm going to make it look like it was chiseled instead of made.
Get like a scribe or something and scribe stuff in there.
Yeah.
I thought I saw a question, but I think I lost it.
Now, I saw in James's stream that Oink Master Supreme, Oinky, saw a starlight pleco today.
Really?
So I need to find out where she found the starlight, or the starlight pleco. She said they were full adults. Was that at a fish store somewhere,
Oh.
or in somebody's house? And if she was on a hot date, she doesn't have to give all the details. But and Delilah mentioned in your stream that she's working at that cool fish store.
Yes.
She got a bloodworm stuck in her eye, and it made it swell up, and it looks
Oh,
like
wow.
it's very painful. The poor thing.
That doesn't sound pleasant.
Yeah, I saw
Nope.
a picture of that, and I gotta tell you, I think that happens to me once in a while. So I make sure, like, after you're done feeding your fish, you got like if you feed cyclops, daphne, brine, shrimp, like all different frozen foods, you get that on your hands, and I know I've like rubbed my eye, I'm like, oh man, and then it happens to me too. It ain't.
I
good.
remember it happening to Rack real bad. He was on one of his live streams, and his eyes were all messed up, and I think his hands were even swollen, and it was because he was messing with bloodworms. So I think a lot of people have allergies to bloodworms. And James and I know a lady that owns a fish store in Roslyn that's allergic to any type of shellfish. So she has to have all of her employees hand you like any shrimp out of her freezer because she can't even touch the bags without getting sick.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, it'd be a drag.
Yeah, a lot of people saying, don't use your fingers, never touch the bloodworms. Yeah, absolutely. That's when it pays to have a nice set of tongs. Even if you don't do any planting or aquascaping, I typically will feed with those or a turkey baster, depending upon the volume that I'm feeding and how I'm going about doing it.
I think I touch them every single day.
Yeah,
but it's okay because I lick my fingers off when I'm done so that I don't get it in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that also kind of, lets you know some of those brands, even the more expensive ones, the flavor is just not the same as some of your, cheaper bloodworms you can get. I'll tell you that.
I know. It's why do the Hikari taste so much different from San Francisco Bay?
Yeah. Well, and have you noticed a difference in the taste texture between the jumbo and the standard bloodworms? I don't understand why.
It's like they're putting a whole lot of iron or something in there.
Yeah, something.
It's just weird. It's strange.
Delilah says it's so hard in this store though because our employees feed the fish and then don't wash their damn hands before doing other stuff. All she was doing was collecting tags for the new fish they got in.
And one of the kids touched her eyeball.
No, it's just from feeding all the fish and then not washing your hands afterwards. You go and you do other stuff, and you're still touching it with the juices and stuff that's part of that food. Probably transferred on her, and it got her.
Gross. Poor thing.
It's 3D and aquatics. It's okay. I got to head off to bed. Fish room fever. Ask Ed if he wants a care package of my tools so I can get more feedback. Please and thanks.
Oh, what's that?
So Ken's 3D and aquatics he prints a bunch of different stuff, fish related and non. But he has quite a few fishy related products, and he sent me some out to test and give feedback and tell him what I think. So he's wanting to know. He's got some new stuff that he's printing now as well. So
that'd be cool.
To know if you want to try some stuff out and give him some feedback on it.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to. That'd be fun.
I enjoy it,
totally
and
cool.
I've found his stuff works really well so far. So we're at about, I guess, 4 months in. Sorry, go ahead, Skipper.
It's amazing what they can do with them 3D printers.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to get one. I want to get one someday just so I can make miniatures. So I can I love painting things. You know, those little action guys or models.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Sean does all the time.
Yeah, we
I
got
don't know. I think did he say that he hasn't even used his 3D printer? I don't remember if he said he used it or not yet.
Hmm.
He just buys so many models, he probably doesn't get to it.
Right.
Doc Anthony leaving. He's taking his fish
Have a good
by
night.
to watch whatever that is, fish that breed at high tide on the beach. It's a fish
Oh
run.
wow. I have to blow my nose, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to do this. And
So, Skipper, you were going to tell us about your cruise before you went off
Well, got
to
off
Doc
on a little.
Anthony's thing, which I know you dropped the link. I'm sure we'll drop the link again before we wrap things tonight. But tell us about what you did.
So how it all came about was we always like to take the kids somewhere, and I told the wife that I'm done with Disney. Well, she found us something else to do, so we went on our first cruise. Well, at least for me and the kids, it was our first time. We flew to we flew to Orlando, and then we went to Port Canaveral, and we went from there to we went to the Bahamas, and I bought a GoPro before I went down. I made a couple shorts. I want to do some other stuff, but I've been a little busy lately, and but I did some underwater footage of the fish there that's next to the island and stuff, which was pretty neat. And we got back. Oh man, what was it? Last Saturday. It was like 3 in the morning. It was a. I needed a vacation from the vacation.
Right. I understand.
But I recommend going on a cruise. It was actually very fun. Uh, you didn't feel much of the rocking of the boat or not, you know. So it was really good. And Bahamas is nice. They got some pretty nice wildlife around there with the fish in the water. You go snorkeling and stuff. You get to see some pretty cool stuff.
Heck yeah.
Don't ask me the names because I couldn't figure that out yet.
Right.
It's hard to find that information. I don't know why, but it's hard to find what fish hang out around there. And I was looking, and I'm having a heck of a time. One of them was a barracuda. I did get one of those footage of that.
That's awesome.
I was talking and my thing was up, so you couldn't hear anything I was saying. Huh? Was there lots of people there that looked like they were on their own, or did everybody there have a family and stuff?
People were with people, whether it was their family or whatever, friends. There was some that they were just a group of friends, and actually, I think spring break started because we went to this one show, and you had all these kids down there being goofy and stuff, and I believe it was college students on spring break.
Oh.
So it was cool.
I've thought about going on one, but I didn't want to look like a weirdo by myself.
Right. So, Ed, for anybody that's not familiar, what's that tool you're using? What are you doing there with the Sculpey?
What I'm doing is I'm trying to put I'm connecting all the pieces I've put together, and this thing just helps me push into the corners and areas that I can't really reach with my big old fingers. So it's just a sculpting tool. I've got a metal one like that dentists might use on your teeth to make like the
Gotcha.
shapes of your teeth. But I kind of prefer the plastic just because it's not as sharp and I don't poke myself as much.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. But it's coming along right now. And then I'll be throwing all the designs. Did you see any type of Mayan statues or Caribbean statues while you were down there?
I did see a fort whenever we was going from the port over to Blue Lagoon. He showed us one of the forts. You know, we were driving past it on the water, which was pretty cool. And then to the entrance of the Blue Lagoon, there was a tower that one of the things they used to use to defend the beach or the islands and stuff. So that was pretty neat.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
So now I'm going to score it because I'm going to put one of the legs down the side. And this is the leg. Very simple. And I'm just going to pack it in. But I want because it's a separate rock, I want to make it so it doesn't look like it's completely together either. So it looks like it's a separate part. What were the buffets like in that place?
Oh man, they were awesome. Oh,
Was there steak?
they had theme nights. The second night it was French. The third night was Italian. I think the fourth night was Caribbean. It was nice because you got to eat different types of food from different ethnic groups, which was pretty neat because I like, tasting eating the different foods.
Heck yeah,
Was
that's
there
awesome.
Mexican? Was there a Mexican night?
No.
Oh.
Well, no.
I think Mexican or Tex-Mex is probably my favorite, but I like just normal Mexican food too.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. I might add another layer to the top. I think I probably will because I don't like the height that I've got. Oh, well, I guess it's not too bad, but this can be a little higher. So I think I'm going to make it about another inch higher. So I'm going to add something to it. And it's better to add it before I start doing the detail. How are we doing on time? Okay, great. We're halfway. So super.
Oh, yeah. And I tell you what, going back to the whole flow issue or non-issue, that topic, even if you did have where you were getting some detritus buildup around the base of that deflector there or that hide, it's a great place to put a plant. Great place to stick a rooted plant that's just going to soak that stuff up. And that's just going to basically act like a fertilizer you don't even have to put in there, like a do-it-yourself automated root tab, so to speak.
Yeah, you're right. That would be awesome.
True. That's
Well,
pretty good idea.
James, we sure have missed not hanging out with you.
I'm glad to be back, buddy.
How is the family doing? How do they all feel about this new change?
Everybody's doing great. They love it. The kids couldn't really go out much because it just wasn't a wonderful neighborhood, and we didn't really have a yard in the trailer park. So now we're on 26 acres. We've got there are 3 homes on the property, 3 mobile homes. My mother also lives out here, and she's got my sister's kids with her, so they've still got, some other kids to interact with. I absolutely love it. I've lived out in the country before, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And I've got to tell you, I feel worlds better not being cooped up indoors, being able to get out. And if I just want to go walk through the woods or go, take a walk through the fields, a lot of stuff to do. The people that were here prior to us rented. They weren't the actual owners. The owners rented the 3 homes out, and they were the 3 families or the 3. They were pretty much related, and they absolutely trashed the place. It has been dumpsters and dumpsters and dumpsters worth of junk having to be hauled out, actual trash and couches, appliances, anything and everything, you name it. So there's been a lot of cleanup work. Scuba Steve was mentioning we need to build a pond. I'm working on that. There's actually, long story short, there used to be a tobacco drying shed on part of the property, and there is 3 layers high cinder block back there that's been back there long enough. None of the rest of the building is there, but the cinder block walls are still there. And that cinder block is pretty much the point with the mortar that I can just pull loose and pop that mortar off. So I am going to get back there and pull all that cinder block out, clean the mortar off of it, load it in the truck, transport it back over to this side of the property, and build an above ground pond with that. So
Sweet.
That's one of the projects that'll be coming. Got some funding starting to roll in next week. A lot of you all knew I mentioned March is when things were going to kick off. Still going to kick off there. The actual fish building is still kind of up in the air on what we're going to do because there's a double wide, and that double wide was actually owned by a lady who passed away. So long story short, it's still in probate. So even though we own the land, somebody else owns that trailer, which is nobody at the moment because it's in probate. So we're having to wait for it to go through probate, and then they can do what they need to do. And whoever, is in charge of the assets at that point, then we can get with them and work out trying to purchase that or having them get it the heck off the property so I can build something else there to tie into the electric and septic and all that good stuff. So we're still waiting to see what happens there. Lots of not fishy projects going on. Building a dog run. We went from 1 dog and 2 cats to 6 dogs and six cats. So lots of fun stuff there.
That's what happens when you need a bigger space.
Oh yeah, which I love big dogs. I've always had big dogs.
Yeah.
I just didn't ever feel right having big dogs in a trailer park with nowhere for them to go out and run. So now that we're out here, we've got 6 dogs. And we've ended up with 6 cats because we were pet sitting for somebody, and then it turned out they weren't going to be able to get their pets back after 2 weeks, and it was going to be like 3 months. And then finally they were like, hey, if you want to keep them, you can keep them. So, after
that's what everybody
pets,
wants.
It was like,
cats.
yeah, which I enjoy it. Most of them go indoors, outdoors, but it's nice. The family loves it. I love it. So much freedom, so much stuff to do.
That's awesome.
It's fun. It's a blast. And now I've got the internet, so I can actually get back to doing some things and sharing those things with you all versus just kind of being out here in no man's land. Thank you, Elon Musk.
That's awesome. That Starlink is pretty cool that they have an ability like that. When I first moved out to the country in Missouri, I just wanted the internet to be able to play, I think it was like EverQuest or some game like that. And, it was bad. And then it turned out we could have cable, and life got so much better then. So I know how it's not fun to live out in the country.
If I remember correctly, the first satellite, was it HughesNet?
Yes, that is what we have. Well, technically we still have it because we have a contract that we have to cancel and all that crap. That's the internet that I've been on waiting for Starlink. It's god awful garbage.
Right.
And they make up their billing. Like every month we have to go through and we have to call them because there will just be random stuff on there. It's like, oh, well, we billed you for a cell phone. We didn't order a cell phone. Well, you have to send the cell phone back. You didn't send me a cell phone. It's ridiculous. And then they look and they go, oh, well, we'll make this adjustment. And so and they tell you have to pay your bill. So we tried to pay a bill and the system says it's too early to pay your bill. So you call because you don't have service. And then they're like, well, you have to pay this bill. And then their system won't process it. And they're like, well, you just don't have service right now. And even when you do have it, it's the most trash service you could ever have. So sorry, I heck with HughesNet.
Yeah, I just remember that one because Oh, my gosh, this is quite a few years ago. I knew somebody that had it, and back then it was junk when it first came out too. But Starlink, it's satellite though too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is through the SpaceX program. But yeah, it is satellite. It is worlds ahead. Like even the dish that you get isn't like your typical dish that you see with all of the satellite service providers.
Yeah.
It's actually a panel of multiple sensors, dozens and dozens of sensors for picking up all these different satellites that SpaceX, owns. So it's their system. They're not trying to piggyback off of somebody else's satellite and go, hey, can we access your system? And we're going to charge people for it and give you a cut. But even on RV, which is the plan I have because I can't get the residential yet, still the waiting list. I've got to wait for that. Even on RV, which is deprioritized, meaning I get access after everybody else does. Sometimes it's up to 150 megabits per second on the download and 30 on the upload.
Wow.
Tonight it was like 25 down and 12 up, which is still better than the 2 down and the 0.25 up that I had before. So it was an $800 investment, but if you're going to be streaming or if you have to have it for work or things like that, it was well worth it.
Is that startup?
Yeah, so the hardware is $600, and then you have to pay taxes and all that good stuff.
Okay.
You have to buy the adapter separately, which is $20 to be able to plug in an Ethernet. Otherwise, it's all Wi-Fi, which is fine for everything else. I mean, we've had up to 10 devices on it at once over the Wi-Fi and running smooth. But I wanted to be able to plug the laptop in and hardwire it for the streams just to be extra safe. So by the time I paid taxes, shipping, bought the extra hardware pieces that I needed, it was pretty much $800.
Yeah, because I've
And
been
it's
looking.
$150 a month. Sorry.
No, that ain't bad. Yeah, I was looking for something different. That's why I was asking the question. Because unfortunately, I missed part of your stream when you was talking about that stuff.
I got you. Yeah, and that is one downside to RV. If you go with that, you quote unquote skip the wait list, but you get deprioritized service, and it costs more monthly than residential service. But I can also turn it off and on at any point. So let's say for some reason I don't want internet next month. I can just hit a button in the app, and I don't get charged a bill for internet next month. And then the month after, I can hit a button and have internet right back again. So there's no service contracts or anything, which is good and bad because they can change whatever they want to, but you're also not locked in. So that's a plus.
Yeah, it's more for the people that do a lot of camping and stuff like that, and they are able to get internet. Yeah, I'm waiting for Verizon, the tower. It's like a half a mile from my house. I could see it out my kitchen window to where you can get it through your cell phone. I wanted to see how that is. I'm just tired of dealing with Comcast, aka Xfinity.
Yeah. So that's one I will probably check them out. What we've actually, it won't even be through Comcast. The utilities board in Knoxville, which is not too terribly far, they actually service out here as well. Even though it's about an hour away. Long story short, they got a grant or whatever. I forget the actual term, but they got money to go into the funding to build out fiber optics to rural areas. So we're actually on our area, our address is on the 2024 expansion to have fiber out here. And I've already seen them out here doing the surveys and taking pictures of the poles and the properties and all that. So we'll actually have fiber out here within 2 years. So at that point, I may switch over to that.
Yeah.
They only are putting fiber to the business in this town.
That's what they're doing here.
We have what's it called? Lazy Boy. And they needed, like it's their headquarters or one of their headquarters. So they had to have that fiber. And so they offered it to other businesses in town, but I tried to get it and they were like, nope.
Yeah. Go ahead.
they were setting it up for the school, literally right outside my house, fiber optics for the grade school. I said, listen, I said, hook me up. He wouldn't do it. I wanted, oh man, that would have been great. I'd have ran that in there and they wouldn't even known it. But I was like, when are they going to bring it here? Oh, they're not. This is just for businesses right now for the school district. I was like, oh my, that's messed up.
Yeah, and they wouldn't be doing hours, especially this far out in the country, except for the fact that the government was offering grants to companies, utility boards specifically, to run fiber to rural areas, and so they got that money, that contract, and said, "Okay, we'll take all this money and we will offer fiber to people in the woods." So worked out well there when it comes through.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to show you guys a basic real quick.
Oh, I love it. I
Yeah,
love
there
it.
you
I've
looks
missed
great.
getting to watch you do this stuff, Ed.
Yeah.
Great. Love it.
We're going to try to make a sun and see if I can do this with any precision or like they might, because they were so awesome at making designs and whatnot from just carving. It's so unbelievable.
Yeah, not one of them's the same.
Yeah.
I just started streaming back down here again, James, and I get distracted.
I got you. Yeah, it took me a little bit, and I'm still working on, like, I messed up the intros. It took me a couple minutes when I first started, especially because I looked over and with the send over, it was like 160 people, and it took me probably 5 minutes. I'm like, slow down. You've done this for years. Breathe. Just talk to everybody. But after a couple months of not doing it, it was definitely I had to dip my toe back in and get reacclimated for sure.
I get distracted by the fish tanks that are around me. That's my problem.
Oh yeah, that's easy to do. Very, very easy to do. But yeah, so one of the things I've been thinking about, and I bring this up because you mentioned Ed doing like a big plywood pond or something like that.
Yeah.
Is 240 gallon I have, or I guess it's a 230, whatever it is. I'm going to go back to calling it the 220 because that's what I called it for years until I actually plugged in the dimensions and it's bigger than that.
Oh yeah.
The 220, I have to re-silicone it. So and I also have to rebuild the bracing for it. So I'm debating on, and I'd love to hear from the chat what you all think I should do. If I should re-silicone the 220 and re-brace it and have it, as a 220 gallon aquarium, or if I should strip it apart and use those glass panels to build one or two larger plywood tanks. So like do, 1,500 gallons that has the 30-inch by 6-foot viewing panel in it, So I've been going back and forth on doing that because I have the space to do that now. So it's a matter of what do I want to do. I also know that if I go with that double wide and I strip it out and reinforce the floor, there's an awesome not bar, but an island that comes out between like the kitchen area and the living room. It's just over 6 foot. And I know that thing would look awesome if I rebuilt that island and reinforced it. That 220 would look awesome sitting there as kind of a divider between the kitchen and the living room area. So I'm kind of back and forth.
Yeah, that's a tough one because all both of them are good ideas. That's
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
love them both. What we ought to do, or you should do, is look into what type of tanks you need to actually breed those piranha to see if that would influence one way or another you do it.
Yeah. Well, and see, I know that just from my experience in breeding red bellies and the maculatus piranhas, Having them in a big tank like that, it would be hard for me to do what I have done in the past, which is once they lay, go in there and gravel vac out all the eggs and raise them myself. Because if you've got 8, 10, 12 piranha in a big tank, even though you've got those two parents that are going to be protective, you're still going to end up with 6 or however many other piranha that are trying to eat all these little fish in theory.
Yeah.
So it's one thing I'm looking at is if I do it in that double wide, it's a 3-bedroom. And so one of the 3-bedroom and 2 bedrooms on one side of it have what would be adjoining closets. They have separate closets, but it's just a piece of drywall in between them. And I would knock that out and join the closets together. And I would have all of my water running through there for like your top off and all that stuff. But I would do one room that was just my breeding projects, and like live food cultures and all that stuff. And then the other room have my, I don't want to say show tanks, but my tanks that are set up for enjoyment and not specifically just bare bottom breeding tanks.
Right.
So I think that would be fun too.
You got a lot of options with that place.
Oh yeah. So it's just a matter of, but again, is probate going to take another 5 months? I know that temporarily we're going to go in the 945-ish square foot garage that's down there, cinder block garage. And we're going to go in and we're going to build a smaller room in there because, cinder block has basically no insulation value. It's got like a 1.5 R factor in terms of how well it insulates. So I'm going to build a smaller area in there that I can temperature control. And I've already got a unit that does heat and air that I can set the thermostat on and keep it climate controlled. And in terms of electricity, I can run electricity out there to run my linear air pump and the minimal lighting that I would use, because the electric board says that building doesn't exist, which is funny because it has a power line run to it, a power pole up against it, and it even has their power panel on the side of it to throw the meter into. It has a meter box, but they cannot figure out where it is, so to speak. They're like, we can't find it. It doesn't exist. I'm like, well, your meter box is on it.
Yeah.
We called him out to hook the power up to put in a meter, and he came out and he's like, I'm doing it for this building because there are 4 separate addresses on our property currently, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And we had them look through all of them, and they're like, this building doesn't exist for any of these addresses. And I'm like, well, what do we need to do to get a meter put in? He's like, I have no clue. He called the lady back at base or whatever. She couldn't figure it out. So right now we're just running extension cords out. So that's one of the issues we had with turning that into the fish building is they can't even figure out getting power to the stupid thing at this point. So I digress. Sorry. Carry on.
That sucks.
Okay, I'm just going to
because
give
it's
you
fully
guys
wired.
a quick look.
Love it.
Sweet.
Love it.
I can't wait to see that painted up.
Matt was said the unpermitted construction. Yeah. So one thing that's great out here is I've called it about several things. I'm like, well, I want to build this. And they're like, we don't care. You're in the county. I want to run this. We don't care. You're in the county. Well, I want to do this. We don't care. You're in the county. But I know that particular building at some point, passed an inspection because it's got dozens. And that's the other thing. It'd be perfect for a fish room because it's got wall outlets galore and it's got lighting run through it already. All I would need to do is upgrade the breaker box because it's got the older style glass fuse breakers. But they came out and the electric company put a meter on it. They just took the meter out at some point when power got shut off to it, and they can't figure it out. So who knows? Maybe we pursue that, but there's some other stuff that factors in as well.
You'd probably have to get a county level with that. They'd have to look in the records.
It's one of those things that I'm still kind of feeling things out and figuring things out, and who in the county do I need to talk to about what, and so it's been fun, but it's great being somewhere where I don't have to worry about quite so many rules as opposed to being in the middle of a trailer park in the city that's got a homeowners association type, rule of law. Oh my God, your grass is too tall. It's going to be $175 for us to come cut it tomorrow.
I wish I lived out where I grew up. Oh boy, that'd be awesome.
Out of curiosities, is solar an option? Yes, it is. That's one of the things that we're looking into. More 5-year goal is to set up, I don't want to say a solar farm, but to run enough panels for us to be viable on the property at multiple buildings without hookup. Because I've found a place that I can actually get solar panels by.
Kenny E is here. Daniken Aquatics
to accept it and all that stuff. So yeah, solar is something we're looking at, both at smaller scale and long-term, larger scale. That's a good thought, Collab.
Man, that would be. I wish I could do that. My house is set up perfect where I could have a panel on every angle of the roof.
Wow. That's awesome. We were looking at it and we think we have a giant tree. It's the same giant tree that shades the pool most of the day would also mess up our solar because it has to be on the back of the house because that's what gets the sun the most.
Oh, yeah.
And that's also where the pool is.
I got you. Yeah, see, I've got right here by this house at the other house, 5 acres of what is currently hayfield that gives complete open solar exposure. So it would be from the time it comes up till the time it goes down, no blockages, excluding, cloud overcast and that type of stuff, but wide open field.
Nice. That's awesome. That is super, super cool. Let's see. I'm just going to town on this statue.
I love it.
It's pretty cool.
It is.
I have to say it's one of my favorite ones, Ed.
What? Who said that?
I did.
You?
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite ones. That's pretty neat. I like that.
It's going to be real easy to paint. I'm going to give it a dark coat of charcoal, and then I'm going to go over it with a light coat of gray, and that's going to be the majority color. How many different days of the moon setting, like from full moon to
how many phases?
Full moon? How many phases is there?
Good question. Somebody in the chat will know it.
Jeopardy question.
There we go. I'm going to butcher this probably. Fae of the Fae? Is that correct? So there are 13 moons in 1 year.
Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh, we got a 32, a 5, 8 phases, 28 phases.
So I found there's 8 phases. The cycle repeats once a month every 29 and a half days.
Yeah, so it runs into being basically 13 moons in a year because it's a little less than a month from moon start to moon start, so to speak, which I think is what Ed was going for there. So you get once a month, but there's extra at the end of the year because you're going less than a full calendar month in a lunar month.
Well, these Mayans or Aztecs are going to go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 degrees of moons.
I got you. Fee. I wondered. See, I went Fae because of the Fae at the end, but Fee because I'm from Phoenix. Got it. Feed the
Okay.
Fed. Thank you for letting me know, because I was sitting here. You said something earlier. I started to read it, and I'm like, I'm going to butcher their names, so I'm going to leave that alone.
Miss Fever says 8 moon phases and 13 full moons a year. Okay.
Well, I don't know. This is probably looking dorky. I probably shouldn't have got this technical with it. You know what? I'm going to remove this moon and start it over. Because I can.
Might as well.
I'm
That's
the
one of the
boss.
great things about doing your own crafts is you get to do what you want and make it look how you like it.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to say that the top moon represents the full moon. And then the cycle's going down. And I don't know how they would do it. So I'm going to do dots. There we go.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. And hopefully moss and stuff will grow into it anyway.
Probably would.
Horrorworks, there you go. Says if there are 8 phases and it has 10 moons, he can just remove one from each side, right?
Oh, that's too difficult. But it made the most sense.
Oh, that's great.
Goodness.
Oh my.
Oh, I'm trying to.
I've been not reading
How
certain
they-
comments for a reason.
Yeah, I've avoided a couple here or there.
Yeah. Especially when it first started out. That's right. That's fair, Ed. You can do whatever you want. It's your craft, says Coro.
Yeah, and nobody else even knows what's going on.
Unless
Hopefully
they
it'll have
realize-
some nice algae and some moss growing on it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I got some homework to do for tomorrow night.
So there's the moon cycle above the
Oh, okay.
sun.
I like it.
And then we'll leave this whole one at the bottom, and it's the same on both sides. So other people, they can figure it out themselves. I don't care. Let's add some squares, because they like to have lots of squares in their stuff. Oh, how are we doing on time? Oh, gosh, we've ran over an hour. Well, you know what, guys? I can keep cranking on this. Skipper, were you going to do a stream tonight?
I gotta work tomorrow, bud.
Okay. Well, I will finish this up later, and next week we'll paint it and see how it comes out. I'll take a photo of it and put it on my Instagram if anybody's interested on how it turns out. And but I do think it's going to be a pretty neat hide in the end for people that are real into like statues and Mayan stuff and just kind of creepy weird stuff. And I thought I might try to make a second one that's not a hide, but it's like a shattered temple or a shattered stone one, right, that you could put next to it. So that way you'd see a full, like, I don't know what it would be called, a full shrine or whatever, statue, and then a crumbled one. So it'd be more realistic that it's not just one in the middle of the world and it's all by itself. I thought that might be kind of
Makes
neat.
sense. I
to
like
go
that
with
thought.
this one. But yeah, it's going to be fun. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. It's great having you back, James.
Yes,
Skipper,
Great to be back.
you're always amazing. I appreciate you hanging out with us. Mods, thank you so much. I didn't hear those guys getting upset or anybody was getting mad or anything, so you guys must have done a good job. And thank you for all my members and super chatters. You guys make it possible so I can keep buying the clay, so I can keep doing these projects and have fun. So, guys, we'll catch you next week. We'll start at 9:30 on the Fish Room Fever, and then me at 10:30. Tomorrow is Ace. That is ASE, the sports channel, and that will. And I haven't talked to Kenny yet because he's kind of running the stream for us, but I don't know if Skipper's going to be there. Last week we had Austin from Fantastic Freaks and Bentley Pascal. What's Bentley's last name?
Pascal.
Pascal. Was there last week, and we got really into football. We'll be working more on that channel as the year goes on, but right now, since football's over, we're going to just kind of go slow with it. I think Jimmy P and I haven't really officially talked to Jimmy P, but I thought maybe we would talk baseball once in a while. And then on Saturday, Skipper, do you have anything on Saturday?
No.
How about you, James? Do you have any?
Not at this point. Doing some stuff for the members, but I haven't set a day on it. A lot of it's kind of what I'm doing that day and what the Wi-Fi service looks like. I want to do a walk around tour sometime this week
That'd
with
be
the
awesome.
members and kind of show them the property and some of the plans I've got going. But I haven't scheduled it out yet.
And then Sunday, we do have a Skipper show.
Yes, I will, and we will be talking more about the Amazon Research Center raffle on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time.
Awesome. And then I think our next show that I'll be on is going to be the Dungeons and Dragons, and that's on Mr. Manifesto's channel. He's got 85 subs. Guys, if you want to watch kind of a train wreck of a bunch of guys having fun and learning how to play Dungeons and Dragons, that's the place to go. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and if it's not technical, we'll make sure it goes wrong in the campaign. So it's just a lot of fun. And guys, we'll see y'all later. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Hey, hit that like button on the way out, and if you want to see what Ed does between shows, go follow him at Chattanooga Ed on Instagram.